Welcome back, everybody. Now that the painting's done, it's time to move on to other things. Little knickknacks, little whatever I want to do. Frankly, I'm avoiding cutting and buffing, so let's see what I can get into. All right, welcome back, everybody. About 5:15 on Thursday. Back over here, not a big plan tonight. Looking at the bonnet there, I don't know if you can see from here, but I got some major orange peel going on this wing here. But otherwise, I got it all on tape. One pretty good run. I don't know how well you can see that in the light. But otherwise, it is what it is. Now, I did have one viewer comment, huge piece of trash right there. One viewer comment that they think the dry spray and the orange peel was because I was doing the painting in sections instead of doing a big sweep across. And okay, I don't know any better, so that sounds like a good reason to me. This thing had me scared. I'll be quite frank with you, and I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to get it covered without bumping into something or running into something. So that's how I kind of decided to do it. Based on my experience of the door, however, and 4 coats of universal clear on this, I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to block it out. So, and again, like I said, I don't have a big plan today. I was all proud of myself because I got these hinges taped off and all that kind of stuff, and then forgot that, well, I still got to put the pieces of paper underneath here, and I still have to adjust for gaps and all that, so that ended up not being too smart, actually. So I'm going to end up probably wrecking that Raptor liner that's under there. Let's see what else. I got these hinges over here painted up. They look pretty good. I'm happy with those. That chrome will shine up well. And then the door check straps here, like I said, I expect these to get destroyed. But they're for now, they're all nice and shiny anyway. So most of you probably know that for a lot of my big purchases, I go across the pond to Rimmer Brothers out of England. Still the exchange rate is pretty favorable. It's about $1.30 per pound. The bastards, of course, come out with sales every once in a while, and if I've got anything, I jump on it. And this week they had a specific sale that I jumped on, so I'll show you here in a second. All right, well, maybe you can tell by the shape here. What's that look like? Wrapped in pretty blue fabric. How about that? See what that is? So this is a complete set, front and rear, including overriders, of a set of bumpers, stainless steel. So we're going to clean this up. This is going to make an absolute mess with all the styrofoam. Clean this up, get it out, and I'll show it to you. All right, got a rear bumper set unpacked. I'm not going to unpack anymore. One, to protect it. Two, you know, I might not be done painting yet, and who knows where I'm going to put these things. I might forget about them. Again, these are polished stainless steel. 30% chrome is what the website said. So this is the rear, one of the rear quarter bumpers, one of the rear overriders, and then one of the front overriders. So, real happy with the way these look. The metal is not quite as thick as the stock bumpers, but it's pretty close. I didn't measure it. But you and I both know that these aren't going to protect you from any accident anyway. It's not like these things are really, you know, they're bumpers to bump off of something, not bumpers to protect the car. So anyway, happy with the way this stuff looks. Just as an FYI, with shipping, and I had to pay customs because it was over $800. It came to about $975 for the full set. So front and rear, I got installation mounting hardware, which I didn't expect. The front bumper, the 4 sets of overriders, and the two half bumpers for the rear. If you go on to Spit Bits, they sell the front bumper full chrome, but for $600, and that's I think that's straight and clear, and that's just the bumper. So real quick to order something on this side of the pond would run me probably $1,500 to get it chromed. The bumpers that I have are not in great shape. To get them re-chromed was going to be less than just buying new stuff. So I am happy with the purchase. What we have here are the grill plates. I'm not sure that quite the proper term for them, but they go inside the gaps that are inside of the front of the bonnet and bolt in from the back. These are the Mark II versions. The Mark I versions kind of look like a cheese grater almost. They were more like chicken wire, real fine. The Mark I's, I guess, are as rare as hen's teeth. The Mark II's aren't quite as bad, but I was lucky that Dorothy had both, so they're all dirty and nasty and dusty and everything like that. So I'm going to go ahead, get these cleaned up, and see if I can't get them not necessarily shiny, but at least better than they look right now. Well, that obviously cleaned up really nice. It's just aluminum. The underside is painted black, kind of like the inside of the fins or whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to paint those. One, it would just, one, it's in pretty good shape, and two, I think that would just be a tape-off nightmare and not really worth it. So the other one here is going to get cleaned up. Now this one's got a little bit of a bend to it there, but I'm not too worried about it. This one here, that the aluminum broke through. But all in all, pretty good shape, so they'll look pretty sharp in there. And by the way, all I'm using is a gray scuff pad. This is a little bit less aggressive than the red scuff pads that I've been using for paint, and a bucket of warm soapy water. That's it. No degreaser, no cleaner or polish or anything else. Told you I was jumping all over the place. These are B-post pillar caps, or B-post caps. Now I'm lucky enough to have 4 of these, one for each side, or 2 for each side, excuse me. From the black car I got a couple. Dorothy's original ones are these 2 here, and I can tell because there's random red paint on there from where the previous owner painted it. I also have an extra hole in it for some reason, I'm not sure why. These are the black cars. And then the black car, if you can really see, it's a real heavy groove cut into it. I don't know what that is, unless maybe the top was rubbing on it or something like that. I'm not real sure. But these are in horrible shape. They're both in horrible shape. They're aluminum again, so that's, I'm sure, why. But I'm going to drill out these rivets and clean them up a little bit. I don't expect them to really shine up or even clean up that well. A lot of scratches, pretty deep scratches and gouges. I might be able to work on that a little bit, but I don't expect a miracle there, but I'll show you how they fit up. So this is the top of the B cap, or B post. It just kind of sits in like this. Now there's extra space in here, and you got to remember that you're going to have the door seal, and there's extra space in between the cap here and in here, and you've got this trim piece here, and that gets trapped in there as well. So that all kind of fits in there, and then it gets pop riveted in this hole here through here. Now I want to get these out, get these all flattened up so that they'll fit on here nice and smooth. Again, much like I had an extra hole in top of the windshield cap. I'm not quite sure what this hole's for, but we're going to go ahead and, like I said, get this cleaned up and see what I can do. I'll show you here, see if I can close it up with you so you can see. Looking at this curve here, how it's nice and rounded and smooth and everything like that. And you look at this one and it all got bent over and everything. So I've got a little pair of needle nose pliers. I'm just going to try to kind of pry that out a little bit. This bevel here that you can see on this one, that's stock. That's supposed to look like that. Obviously this is all kind of blown out a little bit. That's not supposed to look like that. And I want to try to flatten this up a little bit. Unfortunately, this did get torn here, if you can see the cut in that. So that's kind of a bummer. Again, I don't want to use the black cars because there's big gouges out of it. Alright, cleaned it up a little bit. We'll see how it fits. A little test run here. This one fits here pretty nice. You can see, you probably can't see, but that hole is lined up there. That hole is lined up right there. My guess is this hole that the guy drilled in and pop riveted maybe was to hold the fuzzy seal I'm not real sure, but that one fits real good. The other one, unfortunately, I'm not having as easy a time with. I'll have to play with it, but what's happening is I can't get both holes to line up. So while I can line this one up here, this one back here doesn't line up as well. So I don't know if it's looks a little crooked there or what. Maybe that thing's just a little bent. I'll have to compare the two and make sure that's a good mirror image. Maybe I've got some distortion in there, and we'll just continue to play with it. But it should work okay. All right, got them cleaned up pretty well here. So using the same method that I did to clean up the grill plates there, I'll go ahead and get these cleaned up as well. Earlier I said that I wasn't going to paint these, and I changed my mind. So I got them taped off here. But the grill goes in like this. So you actually are going to see some of this blacked out area, and it's, you know, that's the paint's wearing off and everything like that. So I'm going to actually use my engine heat because I like the color of it. So obviously I don't need to resist up to 2,000 degrees like it says, but I want to use something that's kind of a flat matte black instead of a gloss. So I'm going to go ahead and spray these up and let them dry, and then I don't know if they'll be dry in enough time to get them into the car or not. It says a couple hours, so it probably should be good. All right, so these are the headlight rings. You can see that I've got some red paint on them on the bottom where the previous owner painted when they painted Dorothy. They're in pretty good shape. There's some pitting on there, but it's more dirt than it is pitting, I think. So I'm going to hopefully be able to bring those up, make them nice. I'm going to take a scuff pad and try to get this red paint off of here, a little bit of paint thinner, and see if I can just kind of work on this a little bit and not destroy the finish. All right, as you can see there, that came up really good. I was surprised how rapidly that worked for me. So now I've got the grinding wheel, which is off camera, kinda, almost. You can see I've got the little way over here. There we go. I got the buffing wheel in there. I'm gonna give this a shot. I have a little bit of compound that I'll put on here as well, and put that on by hand and then put it up against the buffing wheel just to see what happens. All right, so it cleaned up okay. There's some definitely some spots in here up around the top here that are still require a lot of attention. So I'm gonna see if I can do anything with hand rubbing it, just with the rubbing compound. I've got this number 7 rubbing compound, and it's heavy duty, it says. So we'll see, but you can feel those pits in there, but grinding them, they almost look like they got white. So I think there's going to be some luck there in getting that stuff off. Looks really good down at the bottom, but you know, you can't put it on the bottom. Well, far from perfect, but it cleaned up pretty well. That's the top. That was where it was the worst. Give you an example. This is what the one that I haven't touched looks like yet. So that's going to be good enough for me for using original equipment there. So I got to clean up the inside of the ring a little bit still. It's got some grime and guts in it, but I'll go ahead and clean this one up. I'm not so sure that using the buffing wheel was better. I'm going to go ahead and try to do this one all by hand. I think I'm going to get at least as good a results out of it. So That buffing wheel makes an absolute mess as it comes apart anyway. Headlight buckets here, and also the wiring harnesses for the headlamps. So bulleted connectors on some of them, and then also it's got just red and green wires. I don't remember what these all go to, probably the turn signals and things like that coming off the wiring harness to the bonnet. So these will all tap in together. But this rubber seal right here is what goes into this hole. You can see the hole in there out of the shadow. So I'll feed this wire through. All right, that's it, nothing to it. Went right in there. You can see there's like a little cutout groove there, and that just sits into that lip there. I'm gonna be putting in one of the headlight buckets. They go in, it's pretty straightforward, not a whole lot to it. There are 4 spire nuts that go into these square holes, and they're just held in with essentially little sheet metal screws. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop these spire nuts in here. All right, so I just got a little Allen head socket there just to give me some bang stuff, and I'll bang stuff, that's good. And I'll just go ahead and pop these in. All right, like I said, scratch the paint. And then you have these rubber pieces here. They'll go in next. They just fit out like that, but you got to get it lined up right. So you can see there's little screw holes here that are pre-drilled in the rubber. They'll line up with the spire nuts. And as I had mentioned, the plug goes up at the top, and you got this little clip in here, and that clip is what connects with the lamp ring. So we'll go ahead, we'll slide this guy in. And that's going to fit up. My holes lining up here, pretty much just like that. And I got my little sheet metal screws. Go ahead and get them in. All right, well, that's a bummer. I didn't buy long enough sheet metal screws, and I pretty much don't have any more of those. Didn't account for the thickness of the rubber. So these are obviously little dinky guys. So I'll delay doing that, I guess. Got them lined up though, but I'm not going to leave the headlight bucket in there just because I don't want the thing flopping around. So we'll revisit this next time. This box contains a mess of lights, obviously, and these are for the bonnet. I've got turn signals and parking lamps in here. Now these are in not very good shape. Again, you can see the paint on there from the previous owner when he painted the car. I'm sure that'll clean up, but the problem is these little standoffs here. You got 2 of those. It's got little screws, these guys. Now the screws are galvanized or whatever, but unfortunately these were just straight up steel, mild steel or something, so they rust. And then I lost one screw here, that broke, and I think I lost some of that standoff. So that's going to be a little tricky to get in the car. These rubber pieces here, these are about shot also. They're just deteriorated. That's like really dense, hard, thick rubber. I don't know that those are available. I got to do a little bit of an investigation on those. The rubber boots here coming out the back, these are actually, they feel like they're in pretty good shape. I'll be able to save those. Same thing here, these rubber boots, I'll clean these up and save these. You can get the rubber boots, so that's a good thing. So I'm just going to go ahead like I had done, get these things taken apart, get them all dewired, and get down to the bare metal here, so to speak. See if I can get that cleaned up and maybe see if I can save a screw and or a standoff or something here. I really don't want to buy new ones of these. I do have the black cars still, so. Got the parking lamps cleaned up. These are the parking lamps. They look like a beehive, glass light dome. On the earlier cars for the turn signals, they had the same design glass, but it was amber. And I think the law changed at some point for the United States to have to make the turn signals bigger. So they went to a bigger lamp. That's what those other ones are for. So the rings, the chrome rings, cleaned up really well. These are kind of protected up under the bonnet. They're kind of underneath a little bit of a ledge. So I didn't expect any pitting on those, and those are look like they're in really good shape. The bodies for the lamps, I got them cleaned up. Those are looking pretty good. Has a couple springs in there for each one to put some tension on the bulb. And then these little guys here are for the chrome, or excuse me, the negative lead. If you can kind of see that, I've used these before. There's no soldering involved. And essentially what that does is the wire gets pinched in there and it gets put into this socket right here on the lamp. And that's what completes the negative return, or the positive in my case, since I'm positive ground. All right, so I'll put this back together. Spring goes into the socket. And again, that's just to provide tension for the bulb so it spring twists and locks in. Green wire goes through. And then that sits for the plug on the bottom of the bulb. Now this is going to go into the rubber boot. And there's 3 holes in the rubber boot, but only 2 get used. Got to put the rubber boot, or excuse me, the wire through first into the socket. That's how it's kind of set up. Just push it through until you get a little bit of a purchase there, so you can wiggle it through. All right, so there's that one. 2 different gauge wires here. The heavier one is for the parking lamp and the lighter one is for the turn signal. And again, since these are the parking lamps, I'm going to be using the heavier wire. My only guess for this is because the turn signal is intermittent duty, so you wouldn't need to maybe as heavy of a return since it's not going to be on that long. So that's my guess. So this wire is ready to go back in. All right, same thing. We'll set this through the rubber boot. All right, so that's pulled through. And like I said, these little metal cups, or whatever you want to call them, just kind of sit over top of the wire. Wire gets threaded through there. And then bent over. Like that. Now you may have noticed that I twisted the wire up to make it easier to go through, and then I untwisted it. And again, just trying to spread the wire out, and I'll make it sit a little easier as well. And then that, just like I said, slides right into this little guy here. All right, so that just slides in, like I said, like that. And then if I was really concerned, I could always do a continuity from the end of the wire to the body, but I'm pretty sure I'm good. Slide this all the way down. And there is holes in this thing, so you make sure the holes line up with the rubber. And it does seem to go in only one way. All right, and it uses like heavy duty sheet metal screws, real coarse thread. Glass goes in. And then the beauty ring. All right, and there you go. There's a 60-year-old lamp there, 55-year-old lamp, almost as good as new. That went on just fine. I ended up using these little guys, these little spire clips here. Originally, they're J clips, and they slide onto here and are captured. Definitely easier to deal with, but they're going to scratch the heck out of the paint, and I got enough of that going on, so I'm trying not to do that. I don't have all of the ones. Originally, they were in pretty nasty shape, so I may stop and see if I can find something. I need more of these anyway, so we'll see what the hardware store has. But it's nice to see this kind of stuff, kind of like putting the Triumph lettering and all that on. I like to see the little accessories, gives you a little shot in the arm. So now I'll put the other one together. And the other 2 outer markers, the turn signals, I've got the PB blaster on some of the screws. We'll see if we can salvage those. All right, I got everything boxed up here for the turn signals and the parking lamps. I'm going to leave it as it is. The flashers are in shape. Got to see if I can get some screws and maybe repair them, but I'm not going to waste my time on cleaning them all up if I've got ones from the black car that are in better shape. Like I said, I think they're at home. So I'm going to go ahead. The grill, I painted the grill plates. I'll show you that. All right, so there's the grill plates. I'm going to go ahead, I think, and install them real quick. That should be dry by now. Get them all untaped and see what it looks like. So those look much nicer. So now I'll go ahead, go over to the car and get them put in. All right, these are little things that I'm using to hold the grill in. Here's just those little J-clips, again, speed nuts, whatever you want to call them. The original ones were not in really good shape and kind of rusty and nasty a little bit, so I decided to get new stuff. So they're right now just kind of all sitting there. I'm going to use a little mallet to pound them home. Again, this messes the paint up, but what are you going to do? And then I'll go ahead and mount the plates. All right, if you look, you can kind of see that the bevels either go down or they can go up, obviously, depending on which way you put it in. So looking at the old pictures, it was bevel side going down, so it's going to go in with them kind of facing down instead of up. All right, well, that looks pretty good, huh? All right, sweet. Glad I painted it. All right, folks, that's all I got. Thanks so much for watching. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. Well, a little change in scenery here, being able to do stuff that isn't having to deal with painting. It's actually pretty nice, especially when you can start to see stuff start to come back together. So again, have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Cheers.